This is another Javabat warm-up problem I'd like to do. It introduces integers, which are a way that you keep track of numbers in a Java program. So in this case, we have to write a method where, given two int values, it returns their sum. The sum just means adding them together. Unless the two values are the same, then return double their sum. So doesn't sound like it's going to be too hard to do, but let's talk about this a little bit. So again, down here we have a method called sumDouble that's given two parameters or arguments, depending on what you want to use. One's an integer a, the other is an int or an integer b. I use the word int or integer interchangeably. In Java, an int is what you use when you want to store a number that doesn't have a fractional part. So you can use an int to store like 1, 2, 3, or -1, -2, but you can't use it to store anything like 1.5 or 2.5 or 1/10. You have to use something else for that called a float. So this method takes two of these ints and it's going to return another int. So we're going to look at these two ints that were passed in, and then based on whether or not they're the same, we're either going to return their sum or we're going to return double their sum. So let's clear that off and write a little bit of code. So the very simple way to start this would just be to say return a plus b. Now that should run, but it's not going to pass all these tests. As you can see, it failed one of the tests, which specifically it failed the one when it was given two values that were the same. So that didn't work, but we kind of knew that wasn't going to work. That's just sort of a start to show you how to add two numbers. So that's not very surprising. To add two numbers in Java, you use the plus sign, and when this program runs, it will take A and add it to B and return that sum for the result. We need to add an if statement to handle the case when A and B are the same. So the way that would look in Java is if A is equal to B. Else, do something else. So in this case, the else is just to return a plus b. If a is equal to b, we want to return double their sum. So that would look like this. Let's go ahead and run that and see if it's right. Okay, we got everything right. So let's walk through a few of the details you need to understand here. We use this double equal sign to check for equality. We use that to check if two things are the same. If you had accidentally typed if a single equals b, you would have made one of the most common programming errors out there. But Java would be nice and not let you compile it. So that's one of the nice things about Java. In other languages, that could turn into a really subtle problem. But you use a single equal sign when you want to assign a value from one to another, and you need a double equal sign when you want to check if two values are the same. So if I made a new int, I would use a single equal sign to make x equal to 1. But in this case, we want to check if a and b are the same, so we use the double equal sign, also known as the equality operator. So then the second thing I want to explain is how we get this double the sum thing. So this works just like it does in math. We use these parentheses to say evaluate or figure out what's in here first. So it takes the value of a plus b and then multiplies that by 2. you got to have the parentheses, because if you did 2 times a plus b, we have a problem. What this means is multiply 2 times a and then add b. The multiplication operator is stickier, you could call it, than the addition operator. So 2 times a happens and then addition happens. There's a whole concept called operator precedence, whereby different operators, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, all have priority, determining which one happens first. Multiplication is a higher priority one than addition, so we have to force it to do what we want using these parentheses. So those are the two main things you want to take away from this example. You have to be careful about the order of operations, is what it's called, when you're doing any kind of math. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, when you want to check if two values are equal, you use the double equal sign, not the single equal sign. And that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and check out my next one.